Okay, hey everyone, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Each week we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work. And that's it. So let's get started here. Let's see. Mullane, you're up first.
Well, I'm not ready. 1 second.
Oh, okay, no
Pull it
problem.
up.
No problem. I've got the link here that you sent me. So,
So it's not technically mine, but it was AI written, and we're gonna call it found poetry because
okay.
because no one would have ever thought to look at it like it was poetry if I didn't say anything. So what it is like filler text, like a lorem ipsum, but just with a little flavor. So I'm gonna do hipster ipsum first and then cat ipsum because I think they were nice. And I found them in like the article of a coding tutorial. So, all right. Bushwick Blue Bottle Scenester Helvetica Ugh. Me for Loco. Put a bird on it, lumber sexual, Franzen shabby chic. Street art, Nosgard, trust fund, shaman scenester, live edge, mixtape, taxidermy, viral, yucky, succulents. Keytar, Pope, bicycle rights. Crucifix, street art, Nutra Air, plant, PBR and B. Hoodie, plaid, Venmo. Tilda, swag art, party fanny pack, vinyl letterpress, Venmo jean shorts, awful mumblecore. Vice blog, gentrify, milkshake, tattooed, occupied, snack wave. Hoodie craft beer, next level, Miga's 8-bit chartreuse. Trust fund, food truck, drinking vinegar, Gouchon. And I'm actually not going to do the cat one. The end.
The trust fund shaman scene stare fucking kills me. It's so good. I'm so glad you found this.
Yeah. Holy shit. I like Vice blog, gentrify, milkshake, tattooed, occupy, snack wave. Like that communicates something.
Yeah, no, there's more of there's kind of a narrative that emerges, even though it's just like a associated words smasher. Like, let me do cat ipsum actually, because there's kind of a narrative to it. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Dance in the rain, kick up litter, decide to want nothing to do with my owner today, demand to be let outside at once, and expect owner to wait for me as I think about it. Cat, cat, moo, moo, lick ears, lick paws. So make meme. Make cute face, but lick the other cats. Lick poochie, chase imaginary bugs, but stand in front of the computer screen. Sweet beast, cat dog, hate mouse, eat string, barf pillow, no baths, hate everything, stare at guinea pigs. My left donut is missing, and my right loved it, hated it, loved it, hated it. Scoot butt on the rug, cat not kitten around.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I know you're right. Like how do you have any idea how it like determines like how it generates this text? Do you put in, is it like a word cloud that's sort of generated around that single term like cupcake or hipster or cat?
It must be like just an associated words thing because I actually have no idea. It was a coding tutorial that wasn't about AI. It was for like web design and it just needed like display text.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
This raises kind of something that I've spoken about, I think, with Derek and with others, even in this chat, just because of my love of electronic music and whatnot, and what qualifies as, something you can take authorship of. If you're using like a sequencer or something like to make music, people use synths all the time, and there's certain presets and whatnot, and they still, lay full claim to what is created through that process, right? So I know you described it as found poetry, but I do wonder at what point, like, you're using the tool and identifying something that's worthwhile out of that process. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Just wanted to say.
Yeah, there is so much being done with AI generated text and literature and stuff right now. Like the Zoe Ozone GPT-3 pieces that were read a couple of weeks ago. Like, I don't know, it's so fascinating to me because it really gets at like, not only like how an AI might generate meaning, but like how our own brains find meaning in things when it's only like superficially there. And I don't know, it's really awesome. I mean, I think we've published some like human mind generated like prose poems and shit that would have been on some level indistinguishable from some of that like Laura Mipsum stuff that you just read, Moline. So no, it's really fascinating shit. I love it so much.
Yeah, I think on that level, like a lot of it is also in like the person like who chooses it and like the performance and also like that stuff, like the way Mullane you performed it and like the things like that you doted on specifically like during reading it. Like I mean that like makes it your own like when you perform it automatically. That's what's really interesting about generational and like prop gen stuff. Is like how it can be like I don't know, is this like was it a Markov type thing? Like a Markov chain? Or is that do you know that's how
I have no idea. Like, I don't know how to anything about language processing, but I did find a site called Hipster Ipsum that's
Oh
published
yeah.
around 2012 that
Yeah.
just like generates it. And I'm going to drop it in the text now. It's called hipsum.co.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
And I figure that's where they probably got it.
Wow, that's really, really good.
That's so good. All right, Derek. First of all, thank you, Mullane. Thanks for reading. But Derek, you're up next. Let me see. Oh.
Can you hear me okay?
There's a little bit of an echo, but I'm not sure if that's part of what's about to happen.
All right, it should be good now.
Okay.
Is it good now?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yep, no echo.
Is my echo thing all working out and that's gone and the voice is okay? Okay, cool.
Sounds clear.
This is called, this is a new piece. And this is called The Crow Came One Morning and What's Left to Wonder. He takes his shoes off by the door. A solemn peek in the hotel mirror suggests pleated pants, starched shirt, taut tie. He's running out of matching letters to describe his appearance, which is always and only just that. To himself, he appears as an apparition. Do others see him? He wonders often. The meetings today went well. He sold himself, passed himself off as one of them, someone they could trust, someone they could have a beer with. At a baseball game, a hot dog too. He is not that someone. He hasn't had a beer in some very long time. A hot dog would upset his stomach, surely. He calls his home. No one answers. Everything is being created or dying, and he obsesses over which. The crow circled above his house this morning before he left for his work trip, and that is another thing he has been considering. He steps forward toward the television, then steps back. The room looks like all the other rooms. Describing it would kill it, surely. Has he used surely twice? He has. He wishes he hadn't, but it's too late to change it. He sighs. Someone else is in the room, came in with him. It's him the other way. There are always two wherever he goes. He is an unwilling participant in an argument for argument's sake, which has raged on within him for 39 years. Whenever he picks up a new trick or learns a new phrase, the other way does too. It bores him. He wishes there was another way, but he only contains enough energy to wish. He seeks nothing. He has done no serious investigation. He avoids the television, walking further into the room, not wanting to stir up an anger. He pulls the curtain to reveal a view of the highway. What a stupid way to live, he says, to no one. The phone rings. He picks it up and says something like, "Hello." It is not 1979, in case you were wondering. It is a year, but not that one. His wife is on the other end of the line. He can hear his children screaming in the background. They love him. They miss him. They say goodbye and he hangs up the phone. He wonders who they love. He considers who they miss. It is not him. It is their projection of him. He is too many things at once to miss. He is too many things at once to love, he thinks. He is listless. The other way suggests he could be lifeless if he'd like. He doesn't want to be listless or lifeless. His copay is too rich for any other state of being. He distrusts professionals of all varieties, preferring amateurs, or better yet, people and things to happen with no explanation whatsoever. Plus, what books have the therapist read? It only ever shows you on the websites which insurance they accept. It never digs into their relationship to literature, being the only thing that matters to him. Since he mentioned websites, he can delete the part about it not being 1979. He doesn't want to. It is a nod to an earlier work. He is conscious of building an oeuvre, even if he still has to look up the word every time to spell it correctly. It is the E after the O that always trips him up. His wife sends him a text. She is privy to his rhythms, suggests he use the hotel treadmill to stave off the thing that doesn't have to come. He's missing cigarettes. He's not missing beer, but he's always missing cigarettes. He does not want to exercise. He does not know what or how to be. It disheartens him. It unsettles him. He will do nothing to improve his prospects of knowing or being any other way. It is the only way he knows. He is not going to leave the hotel room. He is not going to change clothes or shower or turn on the television or open his computer to write or go outside for a walk or eat any food or think about anything other than how he is feeling, which is an absence and occurs to him to be the only thing happening in the entire world at the moment. He masturbates when it is time to masturbate. He takes a Tylenol PM when it is time to take a Tylenol PM. He lay on the top of the sheets, naked, unable to sleep. He takes a second Tylenol PM when it is time to take a second Tylenol PM. The couple next door is having sex, or the person next door is watching pornography, whatever the case may be. His wife is jealous of his work trips, his time away from home, his peace away from the kids. But she does not have to be him, he thinks. He does. He's sure of it. He is in pain at how brief life is and how poor of a showing he's made thus far. His oeuvre is weak and wildly inconsistent. He would like to be different, but he does not know how. He wonders what he would write, if he could write anything at all. Writing being all he'd like to do, though he's never examined why. And he's terribly aware that if he were to, he might find something else to dislike about himself. And so he does nothing. He tries to conjure an image, but comes away, as usual, with nothing but formlessness. He is unable to imagine a red dot or tap into any visual. It is all, instead, a constant flow of language, badly constructed from poor reading habits, terrible taste, a business degree, a loneliness he's immediately thrust onto everyone he's ever been intimate with, and the ascendant regret. He's lost the plot, control of the narrative, not a natural editor, too fat around the belly, bags under the eyes. The Tylenol PM never works. Wondering what the crow wants with him, if anything, probably nothing. He's made babies and has a life insurance policy and isn't sure there's much else left for him to do. He pulls into his driveway. It is the next day now, if that makes any kind of difference. His wife kisses him softly on the lips. She's headed out to a yoga class. The kids are out playing with friends. He takes his shoes off by the door. A solemn peek in the bedroom mirror suggests pleated pants, starched shirt, taut tie. He's running out of matching letters to describe his appearance, which is always and only just that. To himself, he appears as an apparition. Do others see him? He wonders often.
Oh my God. Now, normally I try to follow along in the document while while the person's reading, because I know I'm gonna have to say something afterwards and I don't want to say something really fucking dumb. But this time, like, I couldn't take my eyes off that like tableau you created there, and it accompanies the work so perfectly. That was so beautiful. And I have to say, like I love all of your work a lot, Derek, but this piece really spoke to me on a very personal level. This felt like exactly like what I've been going through right now for the last 2 weeks. And I guess that's something like about a great piece of like existential like literature, is that everyone can see themselves in it. But this like really like it's funny, even some of the specifics, like the bit about looking for a psychiatrist and wondering what literature they read. Like, I swear to God, when I was looking for a therapist a few months ago, I was reading their like little about me bios, just like hoping one of them would mention like an author I like or something. So it's like, oh yeah, they read Dostoevsky, I can talk to them, you know? No, that was amazing. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Yes, I guess Mr. Bones liked it too.
I love the performance, honestly. I love how like Kurt's like that for the reading of it was, the cadence was just perfect for like how like that somber but also kind of like almost detached, like it was just really good. It's really great performance as usual. I mean, your performances are always good. That one just fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I got to shout out my 7-year-old daughter who created her dollhouse thing.
Did she?
Yeah. Oh,
did
yeah.
she, like decorate the room in the dollhouse?
Yeah, well, I've been thinking lately, like, only the person talking records, right? And like, so I thought it'd be cool if like you can see me if you have on gallery view or whatever, you can watch me read, you know, and but in that case, like anything that's ever like put up on YouTube or whatever is just going to show the little diorama or whatever they're called, like, and so that's why I wanted to do the like two different things. But I told her today, I said, hey, I'm going to read something creepy. Will you set up your thing creepy? And she was so excited. She made a little list of stuff like, what it looked like. It was awesome.
Wow, yeah,
That's
she did a great job. Wasn't it
Yeah.
like little like postcard sized piece of art or whatever that she stuck over the table?
So I did that. That's actually Cavan's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's usually on my wall here, but for the deep cut, that is Cavan from Back Patio Press. That's his one of his drawings or pieces. So since the guy was set up by the desk at a computer, I wanted to take something from my desk by the computer to put it up there.
No, that's a great idea. That's an awesome piece.
Derek, do you know Mark Wilson that hangs out here sometimes? The guy with the most likes, that guy?
PowerPoint Eulogy or different?
Yeah. Have you read PowerPoint Eulogy yet?
No, I haven't.
You have. A lot of aspects of that really reminded me of his book. I think you'd really dig it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was incredible, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Derek. I was fumbling here to try to mute my mic. Unity is up next with,
Hi.
hey, you have poetry for us this time around, huh?
Yeah, so these are some poems that I'm still kind of fiddling with them.
Sure.
I just had my first poems published today, Nauseated Drive. And these ones that I'm about to read are quite different from those. Do you have the link, William?
I'm very sorry. I went to tweet and I never put the link in here. Just one second. I have it up.
Oh, that's okay.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. All right, the first one's called Streetwise. Streetwise was your nickname at Chicago's Best Worst Drag Show. The host chanted it, your little mantra, before introducing you each week. Streetwise, streetwise. You lost the first 2 weeks you went, but won your third attempt in a landslide. Lip syncing to Hole. Violet, your favorite. Your makeup so busted. Natural hair worn loose, in ratted and raggedy knots. Red lipstick smeared down your chin. A 3-day eyeshadow penumbra around your lids. Barefoot, in that black sequin dress from Ann Taylor. So homeless, the bartender didn't believe you when you went to claim your prize and cash out. But you were so proud of yourself for winning. So proud you didn't mind the 4 a.m. bus ride south with all the sleeping, stinking hobos, or the stares from the big money drag queens and the industry girls, or the guys who wanted to fuck your crazy, or anything else. The cop cars the anarchists called when you slid into psychosis, the forgetfulness of former friends, the special kind of hunger that obtains when the food stamp well runs dry, or the cosmic allure of the ever-present needle. So thrilled by the prospect of soothing sleep, you forget all these and more. Sleep to be slept against the earth, in the arms of a former lover long deceased. The magic of that southward journey's end. What magic it was to eat the cherry tomatoes, so fresh and so perfect. Tomatoes that grew by the Pink Line stop in Pilsen. Bless the Mexican woman who planted them there so that any hungry neighbor might always find a snack. Bless the little coffee shop for providing that once-in-a-lifetime feeling of paying for a double shot espresso with $100 bill you won for your art, for bearing your soul on stage and it working, connecting, the godlike transmissions of the tornado soul within you. Bless the tornadoes. You are one, but so then are angels, and cherry tomatoes their magical gift. Those luscious red berries that grow and vine ripen, on the line where the earth meets the sky. And the second one's called The Eagle. Did you ever see an eagle piss and shit in the sky as it soars, just releasing without thinking or breathing, or caring at all what anyone says either way? I didn't choose detransition so much as I opted into a more easily manageable hair situation. What had happened was Adak was on the couch and I hated that he was still high, that he didn't want me anymore, that he ate all the eggs without ever learning to boil one himself, hated his fucking face. This face will improve with egg, I surmised, then proceeded to prove the egg face axiom. I left him on the couch, egg-faced and methy, and the cushion swallowed him down. Before dying, he went back to prison. He returned to Miami or Managua or New York. In the meantime, I walked back to the old squat, the one with the barber downstairs. I took off my hat. The barber gasped and began to cut. It's dumb to be a woman, I thought, or a man. Who cares about that? You can just be a bird, which I was, floating up there, shitting out eggs above the trees to land on lovers' heads who betrayed me, feeding my babies warm mush I made from half-digested seed and worm, singing, not to delight or entertain, but to ward off despicable creatures, like exes too stupid to get transformations of the mundane, mythical sort only haircuts can trigger.
That was fucking beautiful.
Thank you.
And like, so profoundly different from the work that you've read in the past. Like,
Yeah.
so like, usually like your prose is like so over the top and like luxurious, and these
Right.
pieces are so like carefully, meticulously controlled in the way they're presented. Each word is like so obviously chosen with precision, and I love that. That's amazing.
Wait, I have one more.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I thought that was the end of the document.
No, it's okay. My bad. Yeah, just scroll down one more. The last one's called Gay Male Poem. No offense, and heaven forbid I say anything political, but nothing belongs to anyone, and nothing is real, any more than I am anything but energy. And we, below everything, are all the same thing anyway. The stars, the waves, the lunar and solar eclipses. And yes, I know this is an exceedingly, overwhelmingly, some might say sickeningly gay male thing to say, but quite frankly, and if I may be so bold, even, dare I say, so witty and so wise, I believe that gay males are good, that gay male things in general are good, that no matter how the winds of fashion blow, they will always blow back to gay male things like novels and art, interior decorating and musicals, drama and dancing, and giving females fabulous perms. For this is the gay male function, to delight and to sing, to complain in that luxuriously cuttingly gay male way. It's not personal or political or anything else. It is simply gay male everything, which is nothing like anything else, except all of it, just energy and sweetness and light, a gift from the gay male sweet angels on high, who delight in the plight of the gay males of earth. Okay, that's it.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But no, what I said after your second poem is true of your third poem as well. No, it just really beautiful, carefully constructed stuff. And it really is like, it's so fascinating to look at someone who like writes poetry and writes prose and compare how they write their poetry to how they write their prose. And I think a lot of people take first of all, like my like aesthetic like preferences are very much like the same as yours here. Like I really like when someone writes prose, they go all the fuck out. Like I like Nabokov, I like Faulkner, people who just are not afraid to like really go all the fuck out with their prose. And I really do prefer like carefully controlled, carefully constructed poetry. But I think a lot of people like their expectation is the opposite. They want people to write prose like Hemingway and write poetry like, you know, like they're one of the romantics or Walt Whitman or something. And I so love the opposite, you know? But yeah, no, I think that those were awesome. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You had said that your friend Mark wanted to read. I have him next. Is he?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, I see him in there.
This
Mark?
is so cool. Yeah. I'm so happy to welcome Mark Blickley to the group.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just blown away. I mean, I know I met Unity a few years ago, and his work is just, I think, it's just extraordinary. When I heard tonight that Fracas, the Fracas piece, I'm just, yeah, it's like I have to recover. I think I wrote on here. It felt like I was being eulogized, you know? And that tableau, that beautiful, beautiful tableau that was used for that is just, it's just
fucking wild, isn't it?
Oh my God. I mean, this is, I don't know what group this is, okay? But it's the fucking best one. I don't do this that often, but I can't believe it's this kind of,
no,
I'm all right. It's like I got to catch my breath, you know? I need a defibrillator after those pieces, all right?
Oh, I understand. I'm fucking blown away every week, you know?
Oh shit. He wasn't exaggerating, you know? All right, I don't know what to do. So because of, I guess, Prince Philip died, you know, somebody's got to do something to remember him, I guess. And so this is a piece that I published in something in England. I forget the name. It was Talking Soup or something. And the image that they put with the with my text, I really liked. And that's the image, if you can see it. All right, this is called Exterminating Angel. They're hard to see, but you can smell them. Yeah, they're here all right. This is their most favorite room in the entire hotel. Smell that? It's like rotting raspberries wrapped in a stanky sheet. You can smell it, right? It's the odor of indecency. Thought I got them all last week, or most. And no one comes better than me, Crispin Colvin, exterminator extraordinaire, damn straight. Know what my motto is? My extermination clears a path to your liberation from fear and suffering and infection. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I know what you're thinking. Why does that fool spray all that deadly chemical and not wear a mask? A mask? I don't need no friggin' mask. I ain't got nothing to hide or be ashamed of. Purity protects me. Purity of essence. You doubt me? You think I've sniffed too many fumes and delude myself that spirit is superior to body? My body of work speaks for itself. And I'm here to protect all of you from the evil that goes by many names. Chintzes, mahogany flats, redcoats, wall owls, crimson ramblers. Yes, I'm talking bed bugs. Those little demons are masters of deception. Anywhere you can slide a credit card, a bed bug could fit. They could flatten themselves down to fit in any crack or crevice. Feeling itchy, my friends? I'm like a freaking suicide bomber, willing to die for a cause or a reason in any season in order to flush away all of their blood-sucking trauma and filth. Filth, you say? Don't all the magazines and newspaper stories make a point of telling us that bed bugs aren't attracted to dirty, unclean, grimy places? It's true. They don't even inject any dangerous disease in the warm, succulent flesh they feast on. Your flesh. That's not their brand of torment. The filth I'm talking about is perversion. A filthy perversion of body and soul. Your body and soul. Do I hear snickering? Go ahead, laugh. Laugh and show your ignorance. There's a national epidemic of bed bugs in these United States of America, and it's not because of physical filth. It's because of moral filth. Within the fabric of American life are the crevices where these gluttons skulk and hide, waiting for the opportunity to siphon your blood to fuel the most despicable acts of sexual depravity this side of a tiger's wood. You ever hear the label scientists put on the bedbug mating ritual? They call it traumatic copulation. That's right. And do you know why they call it traumatic? It's because the male ignores the female's genitalia, rejects her pathway to creation. He refuses to gently place his sperm into a female opening. Oh no. If they did that, it would mean males would have to court the females and show them respect by trying to please or appease them. The pen may be mightier than a sword, but not in the wicked world of bedbuggery. A male bedbug sex organ is a weapon greater than my own. It's a long, sharp spear with a hypodermic hook attached at the end. The male pounces on the female, holds her firmly while she struggles, and then rapes her by stabbing his razor-sharp hook over and over into her back, her stomach, any exposed area on her body. He stabs and squirts these huge doses of sperm directly into her mutilated flesh. If she's lucky enough that this mating wound doesn't develop a serious infection and kill her, then his seed swims to her ovaries. Every time he gores her flesh, he leaves a scar. I ask you, can a society that treats its females like this be less deserving of extinction? I am a warrior for righteousness. Brace yourself, my friends. There are even more shocking perversions male bedbugs commit against all that is decent and true in nature. They indulge in bestiality. You heard right, bestiality. 20% of their sexual encounters are with foreign animals. The little hopheads will bang anything that even looks like a bedbug. These perverts had sex up to 200 times a day and don't give a damn who it's with. These gangster bugs spend their whole lives just stabbing and shooting, stabbing and shooting. They stab anything that moves with their pointed pricks and shoot a disgusting amount of splooge into whomever or whatever they gash and slash. If a male bedbug were human in size, he'd be shooting 7 gallons of man milk with each ejaculation. It ain't human and it ain't decent. Killing them is a sacred privilege. Domination, abomination, proliferation, irritation, aggravation, defecation, fornication, and homogenization of an entire generation of male miscreants. Yes, yes, yes. These blood-sucking fiends engage in homosexuality more than any other depraved sexual activity. 50% of their illicit intercourse are the rape of other males who have just sucked your blood. And when the sperm of the rapist enters the male, the jism searches for ovaries. When none are found, it mixes with the raped man's man gravy and is passed on as his next encounter with a female. Sick, sick, sick. You want to scratch? You feel them chewing on your tender skin? Where's the itch? The itch is in their lust for your blood. They cannot indulge their dirtbag dicks without feeding on your juicy red plasma. They must feed on and steal your lifeblood energy in order to satisfy their corrupt desires. It's the warmth of your bodies and the sweetness of your breath that draws them to your vibrant, fresh flesh. I smell them, I listen to them, I fill my weapon with venom and wait, 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 wait. All right.
Oh my God, that was fucking amazing. It was, first of all, that's like one of the funniest fucking pieces that I've ever been read on here. Second of all, your delivery was incredible.
Okay, I'll tell you why.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I could hide behind, and that's why I write a fracas. I never do readings. I hate readings. Unity never invited me because I usually don't do it. But he was blowing me away so much with the work he was showing me. I said, fuck, if this group is half as good as you, then I want to get on. So, you know, it's, I just can't wait. Enough of me. I just want to get on and see other people, right?
Just want to say, just a tremendous piece and just a tremendous delivery. Thank you so much, Mark.
I'm so fucking happy, Blake, that you came, and so happy you read that piece and you fucking killed it. It was fucking amazing. I wish you'd seen how hard people were laughing. It was fucking awesome.
I love this group. I'm everything that's been read so far is just, I've never seen anything like this. And I'm an old man, you know? All right,
Well,
thanks.
thank you so much for reading, and you might want to check out the chat because people were kind of, I don't know, they were commenting as they went, and there's a lot of people were very enthusiastic. Let me just say that. Thank you so much, Mark. Next up, Dawson. Are you still with us, Dawson? I think
Yeah, I didn't bail out this time.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, clearly. Let me just find, this is a piece that was published in Apocalypse Confidential, right?
Yeah. All right, so I'll just get started. It's called The Big Jump. Colonel Infernal sat atop his bike and eyed the jump. 8 school buses stood between him and the ramp on the other end of the track. The noonday sun glinted off his crash helmet. His cape, a Confederate battle flag, fluttered in the warm summer breeze. Colonel Infernal's Christian name was Marion Hoyt, but nobody called him that. Not when he was wearing the jumpsuit. Not when he was on the bike. He was built short and skinny like a jockey, and in another life maybe he might have been, but in this one he was born to a 14-year-old girl named Abeline, so his lot was to be a motorcycle stuntman working the county fair circuit for $1,000 a jump. The colonel exhaled. He goosed the throttle and fucking flew. The engine growled like something hungry and alive beneath him. He closed the distance between his starting position and the ramp in 10 seconds flat, and then he was shooting up it at 80 miles per hour. The back tire left the ramp and he was airborne. The 6 cylinders between his legs were irrelevant now. The only thing keeping the colonel moving forward was the momentum he had generated on his way up the ramp. His testicles rescinded. At the height of the jump, he attained a dreamy clarity that told him, "You were meant for this." And then he was falling. Yellow roofs came up at him fast. Too fast. That voice was still there, but now it was saying, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit." His rear tire hit the downward slope of the ramp a split second before the front one slammed down on the concrete and silenced the voice. He stuck the landing. The colonel pulled off his helmet. The pit crew swarmed him. Paxton thrust an open beer into the colonel's hand. Bud slapped him on the back. Otis said, "White men may not be able to jump, but they can sure as shit fly." The trackside celebration segued into a trailer front celebration at Bud's place, a double wide a mile out from the fairgrounds. Bud, Paxton, and Otis rode there in Paxton's truck. The colonel took his bike. They sat in a semicircle of lawn chairs around a rusted fire ring, roasting hot dogs and talking up the colonel's big jump. Today was a dry run. Tomorrow would be for real, with an audience, for pay. "I bet you could add another bus in there and still make it, Colonel," Paxton said. "Yeah, you had plenty of room there at the end," Bud added. The colonel flashed his wedding band and said, "And make Francine a widow at 22? That's suicide and you both know it." Paxton pantomimed a whip. Bud snickered and spit a wad of dip on the ground. The colonel flushed. "Come on now, don't antagonize the talent," Otis laughed. "Speaking of talent, where the fuck is Tucker? I wanted him to check the clutch before tomorrow, and I don't trust either one of these two to do it." "Dunno," Otis said. "I ain't seen him all day," Bud said. Paxton downed his beer and said, "Probably balls deep in some poor girl. He'll turn up eventually." That settled the matter for them, and the conversation turned to who was the better lay, Roseanne Cash in her prime or Dolly Parton now. The colonel, Bud, and Paxton said Cash. Otis was in the minority. He insisted on Parton on account of her jugs. After an hour or two of back and forth, the colonel announced that he was headed home to see what Francine had cooked for dinner. "Give her a kiss for me," Paxton said. The colonel flipped him off and got on his bike. He took the back roads home, the scenic route through the cornfields. Grain elevators and decrepit barns dotted the horizon. Strange and unseen creatures stirred in the roadside ditches. The dying sun painted the sky red. Tucker's pickup was waiting for him in front of his trailer when he got there. The colonel parked his bike beside it. He didn't stop to think. He ran up the steps to his own front door and threw it wide. The trailer was silent. He scanned the living room looking for confirmation of what he already knew to be true, but found none. Just dirty dishes and old editions of Reader's Digest. Francine was always talking about going back to school. The colonel knew where he would find him, but wasn't sure what he would do when he did. He pushed open the bedroom door. They were passed out in bed together. Empty beer bottles and condom wrappers framed the scene. Tucker's body was pressed against Francine's the way the colonel's should have been. The colonel grabbed the baseball bat from beside the bed and swung it into the wall over the sleeping lovers' head. They woke up covered in drywall dust, muttering curses. The fuck, Tucker slurred, still drunk. Things became clear for the colonel. All the too long looks between his Francine and Tucker. The in-jokes they had he never got. Baby, Marion, please, I didn't mean to. The colonel brought the bat down overhand on Tucker's head. Francine screamed and he did it again. Then he took the bat to Francine. He walked to the wall phone in the kitchen, dragging the bat behind him. It left a sticky red trail of busted teeth and bottle blonde hair on the linoleum. The colonel dialed Bud's number. He answered on the fourth ring. Bud, it's the colonel. You leave something here, man? No. Bud, add another bus to the jump tomorrow. That's the end.
What a final line.
Yeah, what a good fucking ending. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I've said this before, Dawson, but I really, really admire the efficiency of your writing. I mean, it's remarkable. Like, every one of your pieces is so meticulously constructed in the way it tells the reader exactly what they need to know and nothing superfluous. It's like laser focused in a way that I really envy. And thank you so much for reading.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I wrote that one for my dad, and he's not a big reader, so I just basically cut every like bullshit line that I needed. So,
oh, it's great. It's great. And still like totally surprising too. I think like a lot of pieces like this would include like an excessive amount of foreshadowing, only in a way that the reader would be like, oh yeah, I know where this is going. But I did not anticipate from one moment to the next what was going to happen, and I really enjoyed that.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dawson. Next up, Gabriel.
You got that last link I sent you?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat now.
I'm going to read from my novel, Virgins and Reverse Intrusion. I'm just going to read a list that was sort of, the two stories are separated by this mirror image list that was a result of a lot of research, both firsthand research and actually reading a lot of books, making sure I wasn't crazy, but I guess you'd be the judge. Symptoms of alcoholic blackout and metaphysical hangover. Number 1, negative emotional or physical reactions to the idea of spiritual detox, part of you wanting it, the other part of you not wanting it. Number 2, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual senses feeling blocked. Number 3, you drank, you did drugs. Number 4, sudden compulsive desires. Number 5, inexplicable perspiration. Number 6, sensing an inexplainable presence in your home, especially while falling asleep or when waking up in the middle of the night. 7, insomnia. 8, sudden and mysterious strife and conflict with loved ones. 9, nausea and vomiting. 10, addiction to sex. 11, sudden onset of sadness, depression. 12, reckless behavior. 13, poor memory and concentration. 14, change in personality. 15, feeling followed. 16, feeling drained. 17, erratic physical aches and pains. 18, nightmares with the inability to distinguish fantasy from reality. 19, schizophrenia. 20, guilt and remorse. 21, general paranoia, anxiety. 22, hearing inner voices with negative messages. Symptoms of spirit possession. Number 1, negative emotional or physical reactions to the idea of spiritual detox, part of you wanting it, the other part of you not wanting it. Number 2, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual senses of feeling blocked. Number 3, you drank, you did drugs. Number 4, sudden compulsive desires. Number 5, inexplicable perspiration. Number 6, sensing an inexplainable presence in your home, especially while falling asleep or when waking up in the middle of the night. Number 7, insomnia. Number 8, sudden and mysterious strife and conflict with loved ones. Number 9, nausea and vomiting. 10, addiction to sex. 11, sudden onset of sadness, depression. 12, reckless behavior. 13, poor memory and concentration. 14, change in personality. 15, feeling followed. 16, feeling drained. 17, erratic physical aches and pains. 18, nightmares with the inability to distinguish fantasy from reality. 19, schizophrenia. 20, guilt and remorse. 21, general paranoia, anxiety. 22, hearing inner voices with negative messages.
I love the format of this piece. Let me just say too that I love the phrase metaphysical hangover. That's
It's
such
a
a great.
You know
Yeah.
who coined that was Ambrose Pierce, is that his name?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was like the first guy that I read where I'm all like, oh fuck, I'm onto something. Like, yeah, he said, I think his famous quote was, you're not hungover. If you don't feel like you're about to die, then you're not hungover. Then it's not a hangover.
Right. No, I love the way this is presented. I love the way it's formatted. I love the contrast between the two lists as well. Just wonderfully structured piece. We've had a lot of real like existential pieces tonight and a lot of experiments with formatting tonight. And I think
Yeah, I felt it fit the vibe a little better than what I was going to read.
Yeah, no, great. No, awesome piece. Thank you so much, Gabriel.
Thank you.
I think that's everyone who signed up to read. We can do an open mic now for the first time in 3 weeks.
I got something.
Oh, Sam, sure, yeah. If anyone wants to read after Sam, just put it in the chat, and Rudy and I will be watching the chat.
Wrote this yesterday. Okay. Of course, Miles, being a gentleman of the noon age, that is, 40 years old, now a fully grown male citizen of the Roman Empire, according to the old reliable law of 12 tables, he had been fluent in Latin as a youth, had not imbibed in the exquisite pleasure of masturbation in nearly 14 years. This being partly due to his overuse of amphetamines, since their discovery when he was 26 years old. But he believed this was more due to a breakthrough he had on that very first mission when the plunger pulled back just a little and then pushed down, sending him skyward, temporarily outside our sphere of time, where he was then able to retrospectively view his entire life from the bird's eye and project this map far into the future and adjust his habits accordingly. Masturbation, to put it bluntly, robs the young virile male of all essential nutrients, spiritual, mental, and physical. When one masturbates, they exude pheromones unconsciously sensed by all potential sexual partners. He referred to this as the aura of Onan. Each time one masturbates, they descend 1 or 2 rungs of the never acknowledged unconscious hierarchy we are all a part of and navigate each waking hour of the day and each moment of slumber, daily interactions being integrated and understood and all accounted for in all their subtle aspects when we dream. Even when one masturbates and then types a post on the internet, this information is gleaned. A simple typo, a slightly out of character tweet, an out of character grammatically correct sentence, any perturbation of the typical flow is always detected, no matter how far the onanist might be from his or her interlocutor. Not exactly the butterfly effect, Miles had long since differentiated the two. It was in fact the opposite, making one's presence just slightly more irrelevant and easy to ignore, to be stepped on conversationally with no guilt felt whatsoever by the offending party, to be made inconsequential to others, much like Onan himself. Does anyone remember the tale of Onan? Miles cannot remember ever learning about Onan as a youth, and Miles went to a Catholic school. Miles even took a course in college on the Old Testament, combing through a direct and literal translation of the Jewish Old Testament, but he does not remember so much as a lecture footnote on this most moral of all tales. He believed this lack of acknowledgement and engagement with the story of Onan in the Old Testament course to be the crack in church pedagogy, that has left it in its sorry state today. Looking through the Bible later on his own, he found a little verse about a man who spilt his seed, and that was it. He wrote a little poem for the man, the Ballad of Onan. There once was a man named Onan. He was once, but now he is none. With Cetaphil and Jurgens, he hunched and slow jerked, and in 2 or 3 verses was gone. Miles had never told anyone about this bit of verse he composed and held so dear to his heart. He sometimes thought of it and found fault in that it simply gave Onan too much attention. Giving him too much attention and making him the main character of anything robs the story of its moral content. For Onan is Onan because we don't really know Onan, who expelled his essence and then disappeared. Onan was a man who had possibly descended this ladder his entire life, and whose final descent past that bottom rung below the ground of an even notable hell was his most notable thing that he, and only he, had ever done. He believed this fault too glaring and obvious to share with anyone, except his sexual partner Chloe, who, recognizing this fact, really gave it to him about how stupid the entire charade of this so-called work of art was, because of this most obvious of all facts. Miles felt deep and everlasting shame at his inadequacies as a poet, and never spoke to her or anyone else about poetry again. In fact, he never spoke to her again at all. Nonetheless, in spite of all this, Miles had ascended this invisible ladder consistently since that day. Each day his idle hands refused to descend to his crotch. They instead gripped this ladder of virtue. But he decided today that he and this alluring painting of this mysterious, possibly queer or sapiosexual woman, smiling serenely at him specifically, and not any of the vacationing American families gazing in the same direction as he, in the glimmering daylight made crystalline by the gritted glass ceilings of the Louvre, could afford to descend a rung or two. He could do it right here, right now, and no one would stop him, due to how far he had ascended and the masculine aura he exuded at all times. This would be a nuclear warhead of masculinity. All men present would thank him for changing their lives when they so vividly saw how far above them, he was on the ladder that they never even knew existed. A hush fell over the audience as he began, and in ecstasy was approached by 2 men in blue jackets, whose interlocution made his stomach churn, his lungs expel, and his vision feel defeat. That's it.
That was fucking wild. Sam, you have a real knack for writing a certain kind of unreliable narrator, a certain kind of like really like tightly wound, like sort of like pretentious, unreliable narrator, you know, and it is so perfectly suited for the content of this piece. I think this may be like one of my favorite pieces that I've heard you read here. Because it's so like the like dissonance between the way this guy sees himself and the absurdity of his personal philosophy is just so fucking funny. It's so good. And the limerick.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Sam. That was amazing.
It's hilarious as always, Sam. Your shit, it is so funny, and there's parts where I'm like, he means that to be funny, right? Like,
that's the best humor, where you don't know if it's a joke or not. It's the best humor.
Yeah, Sam, your deadpan delivery, every time it fucking kills me. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
I think I have to scroll up here. Ryan and Griffin, I remember, but am I forgetting someone who asked before Ryan and Griffin?
I saw Ryan, then Griffin, then Mark, I believe.
Ryan,
that's what I have on my list here.
That's what I see here too. Thank you, Rudy. So Ryan, you're up next.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Okay. This is from the January 2017 issue of Fingers, Commas, and Toes. It's called No Eyes. It's a poem. You have no eyes, snow eyes, waterfalls. Tangled in, uncovered you. Always a brother you. Hid it, gave it, took it. I read your book, but only pages. You have no arms, bare skin, thin lines, torn skin, broken bones, soft-spoken, paper folded. I couldn't wait. I never did it right. I used to watch fireworks. Then we started getting tense. I used to go to the beach, used to flow to it. Scars heal, words freeze and thaw. The next time it snows, I'll go. I'll say I'm sorry. Tongue out, catch the glistens. Hope you listen. Okay, that's it.
That was beautiful. Some of the turns of phrase there are just incredible. The I read your book, but only pages line, that's, I don't know, there's like a real sense of dismemberment in this poem, and that line like fits it so perfectly. The sense of like coming undone or whatever. And just a gorgeously written piece as usual. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thanks.
Griffin, you're up next.
All right. So this is a translation from the Latin of a poem by Gaius Valerius Catullus. I'm going to read the Latin first and then the English, and I'm not going to post it in chat because I think it's funnier if you guys don't know what the Latin says. So, hold on, I need to hydrate real quick. Pedicab ego vositi rumabo, aureli pathicet canaidi furi, qui mex versiculismis pustatis, quod sunt moleculi parum pudicum, nam castes sedicetpium poetam ipsum versiculus nihil necesses, qui tum de nequabent salac leporem, si sunt moleculac parum pudici, et quod pruriat incitare possunt. Non dico pueris, sed his pelosis, qui duros nequeunt movere lumbos. Vos quod milia multa basiorum legistis melime marem putatis, pedica bego vositi rumabo. And now for the English. I am going to fuck your asses and your throats, you little faggots. I heard what you said. You think I'm a pervert because my writing has no shame. But as long as a poet keeps it in his pants, his poems can do whatever they want. If they have wit, spice, no class, plenty of sex, at least enough to get a half chub going, and not in some horny teen, but in those old guys who could barely get it up on a good day. And they can get a little mushy. Writing thousands of kisses doesn't make me less of a man. Your tight little throat is mine. Catullus is my favorite poet. He's very good.
How do you say half chub in Latin? What is the Latin for half chub?
So it's not a literal translation. In this case, what I translated as half chub is incitare pruriat, which is just like get an itch going. But
nice.
In this case, it means a half chub.
This is why I honestly think so much literature is ripe for retranslation. A lot of early modernist stuff, even, and Hampson, particular. I have two different translations of Hampson. Maybe it's a boring thing to say, but I just think there's a way of, how you translate is how I think it should be done. I have a great book of Basho poems. So I guess we're talking 17th century Japanese stuff. And the translator there views his translations as remixes, and he says himself, but he tries to put them in contemporary language. It's not cheesy slam poetry stuff. He just tries to put it in a more contemporary context, and it's so great. And I wish that there were more translators doing that. and it seems like you did that there. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Poetry is a remix, or translation is a remix. That's cool.
Griffin, I want you to translate more stuff.
Yes.
I'll do my best. I think Jenna Tolles is trying to troll, but is turned down very low. So
Okay.
Good move.
Anyway, yeah. That was
Don't trip on the
Catullus
gamer chair.
Catullus 16 if you wanna
Wait, is
look up the
Trip
poem.
on the gamer chair.
Griffin, has anybody else been translating that poet in the way that you have, or no?
I mean, I haven't read any recent published translations of Catullus. The most recent, like, poetic translation, I guess, rather than like a literal academic translation I've read is from like the 50s, and it's much less exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something there. I mean, I don't know. That'd be on you to put out. That'd be a project on yourself. But I just think, yeah.
I've been thinking about it because I don't know. Catullus is very funny. Catullus is great, even when he's not being like this one is his most obscene poem by far. But like, so okay. Catullus is my favorite poet by Icon. He has poems whining about how both his girlfriend and his boyfriend have ghosted him. It's great.
Do it.
I love this. And this is what I love most about literature is the time traveling aspect, or the fact that people are always the same. That the fact that if I was born in any time period, there's always going to be people that are the same, and that's why we shouldn't make excuses for people when it's like, oh well, it was of a different time. It's like, no, there were people who knew that racist shit was bullshit. That you could find your like-minded people, I think, in any time in modern human history, and literature, I find, bridges those gaps.
Yeah, Griffin, I want more.
I'll do my best. There's some other ones that I think, like, some of them I don't really think they need a retranslation. They're not the most interesting, but I think some of his romantic poetry and some of his like humorous poetry could really do with a retranslation. So
shit posting, the OG.
Yeah.
Posting.
Oh yeah, that's what Marshall, I think Sam was mentioning in chat. Marshall would have been great on Twitter. Incredible poster before his time.
Thank you, Griffin. Next, I think, Mark, you had another piece you wanted to read, right?
Yeah, I just yeah.
Awesome.
This is a Aphacaris that was published this week by Rat's Ass Review, and it's based on a painting by Judy Luongo, which is called Sheltering. And the name of the poem is Each Identity is Eternal. The invisible thread from breast to the cradle between my hips is electrified and alive. So real for me, the very idea is audible, and I could taste my passion tingling with the salty desire I have for him, wanting to share the lust of lovers devouring each other with our imaginations, our loneliness, as he whispers my name close and soft against my neck, not having to ask him if I am good enough, and not having my heart broken when he calls me by another name. Lying within his embrace, the shy tenderness of a mouth greets me with inquisitive tongue, as his look of delight drinks in the sight of me, running his hands across my hips, down my flanks, squeezing and feeling my flesh as my legs automatically bend, and I fold into him with no pressure, no expectation, no prerequisite. The rules are simple. I must allow myself the enjoyment of this place where the cushioning of dreams protect and shelter us from a world of artificial lust, as I allow him to take ownership of my body, to lay beneath him and feel him breathe as our hearts beat a new rhythm of mutual surrender, a lustful joy of freedom. As he rocks me and moves his body next to mine, I feel him swollen and hungry for me as he inhales the perfume of my hair, and there is such tenderness with the time he takes at each aspect of his exploration of me, such a heady feeling to see his pleasure in his eyes as he looks upon me. I nestle into him as time ceases in this moment that fills me with the urge to please him, because I am so proud to have ignited his desire. I must give myself permission for enjoyment in the strange place where the light from the candles he has lit enhances his flickering fingers and the feelings aroused by such feather-light touches. My fingers seem like thumbs as I attempt to remove his clothing, but he is patient, and the ever-present smile is all the assurance I need as I move the fabric down over his hips. Thanks.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Mark. And I love how perfectly the piece complements the art. There is like a real like kinship of feeling and meaning there. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I had one thing I forgot about to mention to Griffin about his translations. I just found it now.
There, Josh, not his.
It was a similar, someone who took a similar approach to what you did, and it just struck me as something that's relevant and what needs to be done is. So it was a haiku by Kobayashi Issa from the 1600s, and the contemporary English translation is, writing shit about new snow for the rich is not art. And I thought that was very good. And that was, that was a like 17th century Japanese poem. But I think that was very much in the same spirit of what you've done in terms of, adding a contemporary voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Rudy, did anyone else sign up to read here? Does anyone else want to read tonight?
I have no one in the queue right now.
Open queue, guys. We can go a little bit longer.
Come on, get in here.
I wish there was anyone giving a tribute to Giancarlo Di Girpano. That really shook me. I don't know how many of you had any interactions. I actually cried like multiple times in front of my mom too. I never even really knew the man. I mean, we interacted via email very briefly, and he was, supportive in the way that I think everybody else who has written about anything about their interactions with him would say. But I don't know, man. Like I was saying about how there's a lack of Canadian lit journals doing what I want to do, but I mean, he was one of the few in America doing that kind of thing. So I don't know. That to me seems like a big loss. Very sad.
Yeah, I have to admit that I only was like vaguely aware of him before he passed. And then after he passed, there was like such an outpouring, like for days. Everyone on my Twitter feed was so broken up, and it seems like he was a real like forerunner. It seems like he was in this space like in some ways he helped to create the space that we occupy now, right? Like that he was one of the kind of like forefathers of like contemporary outsider literature. And I don't know, it's just amazing to me, like the sheer number of people who were like, this man touched my life personally. It's incredible.
And he did it in the way that you have, in that he elevated new voices, but then he was also exposing outsider stuff. Hob Braun, an author who, I was going to read something of his at one of these at one point, someone who, an outsider writer who was getting some attention, and I think was a Gordon Lish kind of affiliate, but who was through a botched tumor surgery, was left paralyzed. When they removed the tumor from his spine, they left him completely crippled, and he wrote the next few novels by using some sort of pneumatic tube to breathe through.
Ooh.
And they came up with a system of transcribing his stories from that way, and that was something that I know that Giancarlo was interested in publishing. So he not only published like stuff at the forefront and some alt-lit stuff, but he was really just outsider stuff throughout, the 20th century, which I find is interesting and what I would like to do and what I think we're all interested in too.
Yeah.
Versus, I know that you scoffed at the alt-lit, term, and I think partly because I think maybe you find that limiting, and that, that refers to a specific thing where I think you're trying to do something broader, and I think he was too.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And just, I mean, to be clear, I don't have any problem with alt lit. I know a lot of that some of the artists who publish with us consider themselves alt lit, and I know like the importance of alt lit in terms of like popularizing like outsider in literature, like in the kind of like early, extremely online period or whatever you want to call it, like artists finding a way to make their voices heard on the internet. I just kind of feel like that's great, but I feel like what we're a part of here and now is maybe something different, something like new, you know. But Sam, I see you had said you want to read some Schopenhauer. Did I even say that right?
I was kidding, but I can. I
shit.
got On Women right here.
Well, too late now. You should have put like \S or whatever. How am I supposed to?
All right. Women are suited to being the nurses and teachers of our earliest childhood precisely because they themselves are childish, silly, and short-sighted. In a word, big children, their whole lives long. A kind of intermediate stage between the child and the man, who is the actual human being, man. One has only to watch a girl playing with the child, dancing and singing with it the whole day, and then ask oneself what, with the best will in the world, a man could do in her place. Let's see. In the girl, nature has had in view what could, in theatrical terms, be called a stage effect. It has provided her with a superabundant beauty and charm for a few years at the expense of the whole remainder of her life, so that during these years she may so capture the imagination of a man that he is carried away into undertaking to support her honorably in some form or another for the rest of her life, a step he would seem hardly likely to take for purely rational considerations. Thus nature has equipped women, as it has all creatures, with the tools and weapons she needs for securing her existence, and at just the time she needs them, in doing which nature has acted with its usual economy. For just as the female ant loses its wings after mating, since they are then superfluous, indeed harmful to the business of raising the family, so the woman usually loses her beauty after one or two childbeds, and probably for the same reason. Only the male intellect, clouded by the sexual drive, could call the stunted, narrow-shouldered, broad-hipped, and short-legged sex the fair sex. For it is with this drive that all its beauty is bound up. More fittingly than the fair sex, women could be called the unaesthetic sex. Neither for music, nor poetry, nor the plastic arts do they possess any real feeling or receptivity. If they affect to do so, it is merely mimicry in the service of their effort to please. This comes from the fact that they are incapable of taking a purely objective interest in anything whatsoever. And the reason for this is, I think, as follows. Man strives in everything for a direct domination over things, either by comprehending or by subduing them. But woman is everywhere and always relegated to a merely indirect domination, which is achieved by means of man, who is consequently the only thing she has to dominate directly. All right, that's it.
Sorry, the whole time you were reading that, I was imagining Schopenhauer sending submissions to Terror House. Like the
yeah, he would love that.
enthusiastic Matt Forty acceptance letter to Schopenhauer. Thank you, Sam. Oh God. Sorry.
Like he's such a good writer that like you can read him and just be like, okay, this is just wrong, but he's a good guide on like.
But eloquently
just think
presented.
the opposite. Yeah.
Yikes.
Schopenhauer freelancing for Return of Kings.
Oh, I got like 2000 like flashbacks to like when the incel movement didn't have a name yet, but it was there and they were all reading Dawkins. Like, Oh.
That would be amazing. Amazing. Richard Dawkins reads Schopenhauer. I would,
Oh God, I would pay money for that, like real American dollars or real British pounds.
yeah, yeah. Don't make him do the conversion, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Gabriel sent me a message saying that he'd like to read a poem from Wanda Coleman.
Yeah. Does anyone know Wanda Coleman? She was a Black Sparrow. She blew my brain apart like way more than Bukowski or Fonte or anyone. She's like kind of gave me my first glimpse into like being a Black chick in the LA ghettos and stuff. But
That's interesting. I'm gonna get my book dealer to find that for me then, because he finds me blacks. I literally have a Toronto book dealer who, whenever he comes across Black Sparrow books, he kind of first read Refusal, just he knows I'm into it and stuff. And I got some Eve Shalnut and I don't know, some other weird stuff, but I actually hadn't come across that one. And the Black Sparrow for me is kind of middling because it's like some of it's so great, and then I don't really like all of it. So if you have a good recommendation,
yeah, Wanda Coleman's crazy. She's cool. Pretty essential, and she's not very well known outside of LA. But I'm doing a piece on her for Lit Reactor this month, so I'm kind of in the mood. So she was black gal, real tough black gal that was married to a Swedish guy. I think around the time she wrote this particular poem called Ars Poetica. He came down the mountain with a full growth of beard, smiling. The new manuscript taut in his midst. Precious gold of months in solitude, thought, work. He'd done it, conquered the bitch muse, made a nympho of her, begging at his boots to be taken. He felt proud as any man who can wear pain well. He showed it to his old lady, the black chick, who'd had a hard life, a woman with little mercy in her heart and less in her vocab. He unwrapped his dream carefully, cautioned her to wash her hands before touching a single page. After a guttural sound from her throat, she obliged, angry at having her chores in the kitchen interrupted. He sat her down and read each event. When he finished, cast eyes to reel in her expression. How do you like it? She watched his hope dance. That what you went away for? It real nice for some poetry. Is that all you could say about it? No, I could say more. Well, say it, for God's sake, say it. She took off the sanitary napkin she was wearing and plopped it on the page. Needs more blood in it, and went back into the kitchen.
Wow, I love the ending of that. The tonal shift, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. The ending is fucking fire.
I have not read any Wanda Coleman, and I am going to have to make it a point to now. Like my reading list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer, and someday when I get this fucking clinical depression under control, I'm actually going to do something about it. But thank you so much, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything they wanted to read?
Well, could I do that? That actually jogged my memory and something I wanted to do before, but the Nyla North Sun stuff.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I got it here. Yeah, so I got Love at Gunpoint, which I think I got the last copy off Amazon. Like I think it's out of print, and this is actually, so the nacho cheese and I think Diet Pepsi or whatever was written in the 70s, which was why it seems so prescient. Like, fuck, that's like a contemporary title. But it's also interesting to see that she didn't really lose it, I don't think. So this is from, as far as I know, her latest published collection. And I think I'll just read one or two. I just have, I post-it noted insanely. I don't desecrate books. I refuse to write in them. They're sacred things for me, but I'll post-it note them. So I have a few here.
What pages? Sorry, what year did her most recent thing come out?
This is 2007. She's still alive and she's still doing it. Obviously, she's still responding to my drunk emails.
I was going to ask you that. Like, did you get the reprint rights or whatever we were
She
talking?
told me to read whatever I want out loud at this group. She just was not interested in participating. So, okay. Yeah. So I got to be Indian tomorrow. I came back to Nevada because somebody decided they needed a Native American on their radio show, and I came to mind. I'm flattered, and my ego drove me 200 miles over snow-packed mountains. But now, before the 8 a.m. interview/reading, I'm panicked. I haven't written an Indian poem in a long time. Maybe only 1 out of 100 poems even touch on tribalness. They think just because I am native means anything. I write somehow is rooted in nativeness, but in flipping the pages of my 3-ring binder, I find nothing mentioning Mother Earth or feathers or reservations. Even though I stand on Mother Earth and my rearview mirror has an eagle feather tied to it, and after the interview, I'll be going back to the reservation to see my family. Is that enough Indian for them? I don't know. I guess it will have to be tomorrow. I'll think deeper about being Indian. I like that one, that poem on identity politics, I guess, written before that discourse was maybe what it is today. Some things I really like that song about snowflakes on eyelashes, but I'll be damned if I want one to land on my eyelashes. It would make my mascara run and my black eyeliner come off and I'd look like a zombie. I like when my sweetie runs his hands in circles on one of my ass cheeks. Sometimes his fingers will span both ass cheeks, and like a bridge, his circling hand will sashay to the other. It makes me feel sexy, even if my ass is big. I really like wood stoves and fireplaces. I like to wad up newspapers, put kindling on top, then a small piece of log like oak or walnut, and then flick my Bic, the heat from a fire far superior to anything that comes from a thermostat. I like to make food and have a full refrigerator so there are ingredients to make something yummy, like pasoli or brie with brown sugar and almonds. I like to have a full refrigerator, but that only happens once a month, and a week later it's 3/4 empty. I still can make things from nothing. I really like art, creativity, creative minds, and when I move to a new place, like I just did, and don't know where it is, I make it myself and save my shekels for a starving artist show. Ha, the starving patron feeding her need. And I like the dark side because I can see the light even there. Yeah, she's just, and I think I'll do one more, just because, yeah, it's hitting right. Let me see if I can find it though. One downside to this method is the pages now stick together. Yeah, I like this one. I've never been crazy. But like being a poet or a starving artist, it somehow has a romantic lure of escapism, of blaming it all on inner demons, of being able to act crazy and explain it away, because it isn't an act, though I suspect it's probably a lot more torture than I could really bear, having been around schizophrenics. And I don't think manic depressive counts as crazy, though the crackheads around here have seemed to induce their own chemical imbalances. Shit. Life is hard enough without courting insanity, though a little one-night stand, wham bam, thank you ma'am, might just be the release I need. The pressure cooker of trying to be normal during abnormal situations makes howling at the moon all the more attractive. Yeah, so.
You know, those were great, and you've talked about Nyla Northson quite a bit. And you've read a few of her poems in the past, and every time I'm like, damn, I really have to look her up. I have to track one of her collections down and read it. And it's just that reading list just keeps getting longer and fucking longer, you know?
If I can do the publishing house thing, if I can do the charm reduction thing, one of the first artists I'm going to try and secure the rights to republish out of print stuff is going to be her. It's going to be, that'll be the launch. Her, and I'll have to pick someone else who can maybe give me more of a contemporary kind of push just to move things along. But I would love the honor. I don't think there's anybody else on earth that's looking to republish her stuff, and that's insane because they just consistently knocking it out of the park. She's like an 80-year-old woman now. I think these were written when she's 60. But yeah, just
yeah, no. That would be fantastic, and I hope you find. So is that kind of where you're going with charm reduction then? Mostly focusing on like reintroducing older works, republishing older works?
Both. I want to do both, and I want to do just what Tyrant did, and that's why The Lost was such a thing, because he did exactly what I want to do. I actually don't want one focus more than the other, but I want both, and I think they complement each other. And I think that like some places go wrong by focusing too much on one or the other, and I think that they can complement each other. And I think that coming out with something like this would also complement like a book like Haven or something.
Right.
And Giancarlo did it with, I actually haven't read it yet, but I found it at the Remaindered bookstore, the Complete Gary Lutz. So, you know, he was putting out new writers and then also putting out stuff from, you know, just that he liked that were, yeah. So that's that. But I think Nyla Northsun, I think people would I think that collection would fucking sell if people knew what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so contemporary, right? And it feels maybe even more like resonant now than it did in the well, although I guess she's still alive and she's still writing, so I'm not sure when.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing now. I mean, I'm trying not to get smashed and email people, so I'm gonna have to wait until tomorrow to email her again. But I would be shocked if she wasn't writing still, you know, and that there wasn't maybe something there, and maybe nobody's approaching her. I mean, you'd be surprised about, you know, underground literature. Like there's not a big audience, so who knows? Maybe she's sitting on some stuff, and yeah.
Well, thank you, Josh. Did we have anyone else who wanted to read tonight? Rudy, did I miss anyone in the chat?
I think so, but if anybody else wants to get on in here.
No.
Where's Eris, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. She comes and she goes. All right. Well, I guess it's about 10 o'clock then, so maybe we'll wrap up the reading for now. And certainly, if anyone has a piece that they would like to read, there's always next week. Yeah, so this has been Misery Loves Company. As usual, I'll leave the Zoom meeting up for a while so people can like bullshit or chit chat or whatever. But if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, we do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. We tweet out the link right before, around 7:45 or so, on our Twitter account at Misery Tourism. So maybe give us a follow and maybe stop by. If you have work you'd like to read, hey, anyone's welcome to read, and anyone's welcome to lurk, as long as you don't fucking troll us. Okay. Anyway, fuck it. That's it. Have a good night.